Moms and dads, I don't care how old you are, if you've ever been a parent, okay, I want you to imagine you're walking into a public place with your infant, 6, 7 weeks old, and this strange 70-year-old man walks up to you, grabs your child out of your arms, and begins singing. You don't know him. You probably feel a little strange. Correct? Maybe even a little uncomfortable. It probably was unsettling. But as he broke into praise, he acknowledged that God had not only fulfilled his promise to him, but had fulfilled the promise of the prophets to send the Anointed One to comfort both Jews and Gentiles. And remember that Joseph and Mary knew there was something special about their child. Now, the other Christmas character that we're introduced to, waiting with anticipation, was Anna. After her husband died, she dedicated herself to fasting, and she lived at the temple. Okay? I know you enjoy coming to church, but I want you to imagine living at church. Anna lived at church. She prayed and she worshiped day and night. I'm sure she rested, but she rested at the temple. The temple was her home. She was looking forward to the same person as Simeon, but with a different expectation, because instead of looking for comfort, Anna was looking for forgiveness. See, verse 38, coming up to them at that very moment, she gave thanks to God and spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. And the word redemption is really important here because it's related to the idea of captivity. The Old Testament Passover was the symbol of the release of Israel from the slavery of Egypt, and it stood in Anna's day as the ultimate redemption and symbol of God's power to release captives. Ultimately, Passover pointed to the day when God would provide deliverance from the slavery of sin. And when Anna saw Jesus, she gave thanks to God and spoke of him to all who were waiting for redemption from sin. Here was the one at last, 6 weeks old. Here he was. This was the guy, not who would save Israel from the Romans, like most people misunderstood, but here was the 6-year-old baby who would grow to become the person who would save everyone, Jews and Gentiles, for all time from their sin, flipping the entire understanding of redemption on its head. And thank goodness for you and me, the Gentiles, that God did it this way. When Jesus came, he provided the very things that Simeon and Anna were waiting for: God's comfort and God's forgiveness. And I made those words extra big so you would get what I'm getting at. And again, I ask you, and I ask you not so you can hear it from me, I ask you so you ask yourselves. I want you to answer this question. What are you waiting for this Christmas? Can any of you identify with Simeon? Are some of you hurting right now? Are some of you in crisis? Do you need some comfort? Some consoling? Are you stressed? Do you not even understand how you're going to make it through this week? Do you need a fresh sense of God's presence to carry you through? You can find what you're looking for in Jesus. If you look and read Simeon's reaction, you can find what you're looking for in Jesus. Just read if this is you. If you need some hope this week, read Simeon's reaction and his praise over and over and over and over, because that's you. Or do you feel more like Anna? Are you feeling guilt this Christmas? Maybe you did something that you're not proud of. Maybe you don't like the way you're living, or you know that the way you've been living isn't the way that honors God. And you know you're uncomfortable with that because you know that God's not proud of that. Do you feel like you're trapped in a pattern of sin that you can't break out of? You keep on doing it, you keep on saying, God, I'm sorry, I'm never going to do it again, and then the next day you do it again. Well, if you need forgiveness, Jesus can give it to you, and you don't have to wait until Christmas Day for his forgiveness. Just like Anna speaks of. It's beautiful. Because these two people take Jesus out of the nativity scene for us this Christmas and put his practical purpose to effect immediately. Yes, Jesus dies on the cross 33 years later, but immediately his comfort and hope and forgiveness are available to us through the eyes of Anna and Simeon. And I want to show you just really quickly, before we move forward to the rest of the service today, steps towards hope and forgiveness. Here's the first one. Become a marveler. Okay? Made up that word just for this sermon. Okay? This is not like a comic book series like Marvel's Avengers or something like that. Okay? Become a marveler. When Joseph and Mary tried to process everything that was happening to them, verse 33 says that they marveled about what was said about Jesus. And according to the dictionary, this means they were filled with wonder, astonishment, and surprise. Wonder, astonishment, and surprise. When was the last time you came to church and were filled with wonder, astonishment, and surprise? That's why I'm asking you to read the scriptures and not just listen to me. Are you marveling this Christmas? Or are you just barely fitting between the crowds at Pullowport? Are you caught up in the busyness? Or have you been running around? Has Christmas become predictable, familiar? Oh, it's time for this family gathering or that one. I had a family gathering last night. Have one every year. My mom's family. I like them. They're very nice. But it's become predictable. I know we're going to sing these songs. I know we're going to sing every verse of these songs. I know we're going to play a game. I know that I'm not going to win the game because I'm not that smart. Last night, I went to this family gathering, and we had the shortest devotional we'd ever had. It was also the most powerful. We talked about hope. We talked about the different characters. We lit a candle for each one of them. And then as they left to go on to their own, as the shepherds left, we put out the shepherd's candle. As the wise men left, we put out the wise men's candle. No, as Mary and Joseph left, we put out their candle. And then there was one candle left. That candle was Christ, who is still with us because he hasn't left. And I was blown away. All of a sudden, Christmas wasn't routine anymore. All of a sudden, Christmas astonished me. All of a sudden, the family gathering wasn't just another family gathering. Do that. Do the unusual this Christmas. It can be so dangerous. Christmas can be dangerous for Christians. Did you know that? Our annual celebration of Christmas can immunize us to how important this season is. We hear just enough of the story each year. We set up the exact same nativity scene that we bought 20 years ago in our windows and stuff like that. That sometimes it can immunize us against the real thing. This is why I love it when some churches actually build a real nativity scene with real animals and a real crying baby. Because it's far harder to immunize us against the real thing. Imagine what it would have been like to be witnesses. Imagine being a shepherd in a field and there are thousands or millions. I took the youth leadership team out to my mother's cabin at Victoria Beach in early September for a leadership retreat. We walked down to the beach, and all of a sudden, we saw the stars without the lights of the city. You guys remember what that was like? Right? All of a sudden, a bunch of them lay down on their backs, and they were competing for who could see the most shooting stars. And we were just in awe. Imagine you're a shepherd. You are used to seeing the stars, but all of a sudden, there is the heavenly host of angels. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of angels, and they're singing. I mean, our worship team is good, but how about a heavenly host of angels? And after that, you're thinking, nah, let's not go see the baby. Let's stick around with the sheep.